everyone! So today, we're going to talk about something that's so ingrained in us, we barely even think to question it. The idea that saving your money is the key to getting rich. We're going to pull back the curtain and see why that might just be the biggest financial myth that's holding you back. All right, let's just dive right in with a scenario that I bet is going to feel super familiar to a lot of you. I like to call it the saver's dilemma. So you've been doing everything right. You've been disciplined, you've cut back, you've sacrificed. You open up your banking app, maybe late at night when the house is quiet, and you see that number, it's going up. And you get this little hit of pride, right? A feeling of security. You're on the right track. But then reality comes knocking. The first of the month rolls around. Rent is due. The car decides it needs new tires, of course. Groceries somehow cost more every single week. And just like that number that made you feel so good, it starts to nosedive. All that progress feels like it's just been wiped out in an instant. You know that feeling? It is such a frustrating cycle. You're putting in all this effort. You're doing all the right things, but you're not actually moving forward. It feels like you're just running faster and faster to stay in the exact same place. So what is going on here? And that feeling right there brings us to the very heart of this explainer, what I call the great savings myth. It's this idea that we've all been sold our entire lives, but when you really look at it, it just doesn't add up. I want you to just let this one sink in for a second. Saving money alone will never make you wealthy. I mean, this statement flies in the face of almost everything we're taught about personal finance, right? But it's the fundamental truth we have to get our heads around if we ever want to get past just surviving. So let's look at this with a different lens. Think of saving as your financial shield. It's a defensive tool, and it's absolutely essential. It protects you from those unexpected hits life throws at you. But here's the thing. You can't win a battle with just a shield. To win, you need an arrow. You need to go on offense, and that arrow, that's wealth building. It's active. It's about creating new opportunities, and it's what actually pushes you forward on the battlefield. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Why exactly is this shield-only strategy so, flawed? It really comes down to a few critical reasons. First, let's just look at the cold hard numbers. Let's say you do an amazing job and you save $400 a month every single month for 10 straight years. That is a serious commitment. And at the end of that decade, you'll have $48,000, which, hey, isn't nothing. But is it life-changing wealth for 10 years of disciplined effort? Probably not. The growth is just painfully slow. And then you've got this other thing working against you, this silent thief called inflation. While all that cash is just sitting there in your savings account, its actual power, its purchasing power, is being chipped away every single day. That 48 grand you saved simply won't buy as much in 10 years as it does today. So you're actually losing ground without even doing anything. Now, I know what you're thinking, but what about my emergency fund? That's important, right? And yes, it is absolutely crucial. But we have to be crystal clear on what it's for. Your emergency fund is like the shock absorber on your car. Its job is to handle the potholes and bumps in the road so you don't have a total breakdown. But it is not the engine. It's a tool for stability, not a tool for growth. So if saving isn't the answer, then what is? We've kind of torn down the old models, so now let's build the new one. This is the actual path to building real wealth. This framework here really lays out the journey perfectly. Think of it as 3 levels. Level 1 is survival, living paycheck to paycheck. Level 2 is stability. This is where you have your savings, you've got that emergency fund. And here's the trap. Most of us are taught that level 2 is the finish line. So we get there, we breathe a sigh of relief, and we get stuck. But the real goal, the real game is level 3, wealth. And that means owning assets that generate income for you. So, how do we get to level 3? Well, the formula starts right here with the foundation, income growth. You simply cannot save or invest your way to wealth if you have a tiny income. It's just not possible. Bumping up your earning potential is the absolute non-negotiable first step. Okay, once you've got that foundation, you add the engine, smart deployment. And what does that even mean? It just means putting your money and your time to work in things that actually grow. This could be anything from investing in stocks, buying a rental property, learning a new high-income skill, or maybe even building a side business that makes money without you having to be there all the time. And finally, you add this secret ingredient, the accelerator, time. See, when you combine a growing income with smart ways to deploy that money, time becomes your best friend. It lets that magical force of compounding do its thing, turning your small efforts into a massive snowball of real, sustainable wealth. So that's the formula. But what does this actually look like in your life? This isn't just theory, okay? It's about a fundamental shift in how you see your money and what you do with it every single day. Your entire focus needs to shift. So instead of just passively socking money away, you start actively learning skills that can boost your paycheck. Instead of just hoarding cash where it's losing value, you start deploying it into assets that can actually make you money. And instead of just trading all of your time for a wage, you start building systems like an investment portfolio or a small business that work for you, even when you're not. And listen, I get it. Making the shift is scary. The fear of investing and losing money is very, very real. But you have to change your perspective on risk. Holding all your money in cash isn't safe. It's a guaranteed loss. Every single year, inflation is guaranteed to make your money worth less. So the real risk, it's standing still. So what's the payoff for all this? Where does this new approach actually lead? Well, the end goal is nothing short of a complete reboot of your entire financial life. You get to step off the saver's treadmill, that exhausting, anxious cycle of saving and then watching it all disappear. And instead, you get onto the builder's flywheel. Now, a flywheel takes a ton of effort to get going, but once it's spinning, it generates its own momentum. It's a reality where your systems are working for you, where you're calmly reviewing your growing assets instead of anxiously checking your bank balance. It's the difference between trading your time for money and having your money work for you. So if you take just one thing away from our time together today, please let it be this. Stop hiding your money. Stop locking it away in an account where it's guaranteed to lose its power. Start seeing it for what it is, a tool. It's the raw material you can use to build a real future. And that leaves us with one last question for you to think about. Don't worry about some massive, intimidating 5-year plan. Just think about this week. What is one small, concrete step you can take this week to start shifting from that saver's mindset to a builder's mindset? Maybe it's just reading the first chapter of a book, or watching a video, or researching one type of investment. That tiny first step is where the entire journey begins. Thanks for hanging out with me.